All right, welcome back to another episode of the Pinpoint Investor Podcast with Faisal Morsi. As always, we are sponsored by Pinpoint Skip. It's a data company that sells lists of potentially motivated sellers. Check out our data menu at pinpointskip.com. Today, we have a great friend of mine, Tony Cook, who runs Bay Management Company. What little I know about Tony is he's a beast. He's a great guy, a great husband, great father, and he took Bay Management from 10 employees and 1,000 units to 200 employees and 7,000 units. That alone should be enough for you to want to stick around the whole episode and hear all the gold nuggets that he's going to drop. So, Tony, appreciate you being on, and yeah, excited for this episode, man. I've been looking forward for a couple of weeks.
I'm pretty pumped up, Faisal. And the same things can be said about you, man. Great guy, great guy to have in your corner. I'm sure I'm going to learn a ton on this call as well. So, yeah, let's jump into this thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, tell me, just how'd you get into real estate? And give me a little bit about like your background. And obviously, I know that you grew up in this business and you were silver spoon guy. So, yeah, just dive
Dude,
in.
far from it, man. I grew up poor. My parents were 15 and 16 when they had me. Blue collar family. My mom was a cleaner. My dad drove a trash truck, and just worked kind of jobs. Jumped around to different jobs and stuff just to keep me and my siblings full and roofs over our heads. So I didn't learn a ton about business growing up. There wasn't a whole lot of education in my family, but my goal has always been to break that mold. And I kind of recognized maybe when I was like 10 or 12, like, there's more to life than what I'm experiencing right now. Like we don't do vacations. We don't, there's just a lot missing that I'm seeing other people do. And it just created a lot of I guess motivation at the time. And so, fast forward a bit, high school, I was always a straight A student. That was never an issue. Studied my ass off. I would have got my butt kicked if I didn't, so that helped. But then, senior year of high school, my brother was in a lot of trouble and getting jumped and whatnot. And he called me one day to come help him, and I went to help him, and there's like 20 dudes with baseball bats and stuff, and I was like, whoa. And I had to kind of run in the middle of that to extract my brother and get him to safety. And from that moment on, those dudes knew where I lived. They knew where I went to school. Some of them went to my school, and so I was bullied like crazy. I ended up dropping out in February of my senior year as a straight A student, third in my class, with a graduating class of like 450 people, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I took 2 years off, partied my butt off, drank, smoked, did whatever. And ultimately, my current wife, who I've been with since I was 19 years old, she's a year younger, but she became a year ahead of me in school. I said, I can't have this happen. Like I'm making $11 an hour at this restaurant managing it. Like, and I thought that was good. But I'm like, wait a minute, she's going to graduate and make like 50, 60 grand a year. Like something's off here. And so I went to school. I got my GED, went to a community school in Rochester, New York, went to RIT, got my bachelor's, and had a really hard time finding a job up in Rochester, man. From 2010 to 2013, I worked a couple dead end jobs and then stuck with Morgan Management, who that's how I kind of got introduced to real estate, working, doing the books for a multifamily family owned business. They had like 50,000 doors or something. And I was intrigued by it. I'm like, this seems easy to me. It seems like a lot of crap involved, but I can put this much money in and make this much. Holy crap. I didn't know money could work for itself. This is great. And so I decided to try to advance in that company. And then Kara approached me and said, I want to move to Maryland. I said, oh man, just when I'm kind of finally getting the wheel spinning here. And so I enlisted a recruiter who, reached out to me and said, hey, I found this small mom and pop shop, Bay Management Group, no benefits, 40 hours a week. I think I was making like 52 grand a year at the time, which was I was a millionaire. Like to me, I'm like, holy shit. And so I took the job. It was me and 9 other people in there. Patrick owns it and still runs it. And he wasn't very good at managing people. He'll be the first to say it. Not a good trainer, but he's a visionary, man, and he knows how to grow. And he knows how to identify talent. And he identified me very quickly and was like, dude, why are you not running your own company? Like, what's going on? I was like, I didn't think I could ever do that. I just don't know how to do that. I had no confidence. He kind of built that confidence in me and was like, dude, you're going to run my company. And I was like, all right. And so I started with the books, became the controller, kind of built that thing up to maybe 2,500 doors or so. And then in 2016, he said, I want you to be the COO. I think we had 50 employees at the time. He's like, I can't do the day to day. Things were breaking. Like there was just no accountability at the company, no procedures, no, people were just doing whatever the hell they wanted, except for me and my accounting team. We were buttoned up. And he's like, I need the whole company to look like this. Like, I need to be able to know shit's running well. And so he approached me, and the rest is history. We've grown this thing, gone into different markets. And then back in, and I can get deeper into that if you want to ask specific questions. But then in 2022, as the COVID's hitting, things are craziness is going on. We're all working from home. I just got bored, and I was like, I'm tired of throwing money in the stock market and just kind of slowly watching it grow up or grow. And I said, why not just approach Patrick about buying property from our clients if they're going to terminate their services? And so he gave me the green light, and I bought 4 properties in like 2 months. I did it foolishly. I bought it with hard money. Didn't need to, because I was like, oh, one, I didn't know you can get a line of credit on your stock account, that my pledged asset. I had no idea I could do that. 2, I thought these people would not want to sell it to me if I didn't close immediately, which is not the case. And 3, I think I just wanted to learn how hard money works. So I was willing to eat shit and just do it. And so, yeah, after that, I worked with a wholesaler, bought a couple properties from them, and kind of paused that a little bit. I've got 6 properties and a commercial property right now. And right now I've just been kind of doing the BMG thing and just kind of connecting with people in the area.
Nice. So tell me, okay, let's dive into 4 properties in 2 months. That's a lot. And so tell me about that experience and how did you, I mean, finance obviously, and then like what that look like as far as like, did you like burn them out? Were they already occupied? Like all that.
Hindsight, man, I would have done it totally differently. I'll tell you some learning experiences here. So the first one, this woman, forget it, Tiffany, I think her name was, she has a property in the city, 21218, 212, no, 21215, sorry. She put in her termination for management. She wanted to sell the property, and I get all of the forms from our website. It's a lot. I get a lot of them because we have so many property. So this form comes in, I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm like, huh, she seems motivated just kind of by the feedback she gave. I went into our AppFolio system. We've been managing the property for 7 years. We placed the tenant. I have all of the photos, the inspections, the maintenance. Like, I called the PM and I was like, hey, so and so, what's going on with this property? Oh, no, it's great. Like, there's no issues. Like, is there any different maintenance going on? How's the tenant? I see they occasionally get behind, but they get caught up. And it was all green lights. And I'm like, huh. And the rent was $1,550, I believe. And I called the owner. I had all this information, and I was just kind of like, hey, what do you want? What are you looking to get for? I'll buy it in 2 weeks. Like, let's just get it done. And she wanted, I think, 150. And I was like, that's not going to work. Not with interest rates, not with the rent. I said, would you take 115? I just kind of threw it out there to see what she'd say. And that's too low. I said, what's the lowest you're going to go? I said, I'm not the best negotiator. I'm not trying to bullshit. What's the lowest you're going to go? And if I can do it, I'll do it. And she said 125, I think. And I was like, sold. Like, I didn't even proceed. I didn't even run the calculator. I was like, that sounds good. It beats the 1% rule. So again, this is 10 years of overanalyzing how to do this, and basically in like 10-minute phone call, I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I don't even need to do anything else. I'll figure it out as I go. If I eat shit, I'll learn. And so, within a few weeks, we closed on it. Then the tenant stopped paying rent. I'm like, are you kidding me? We got them caught back up, though. We have a ton of resources to get tenants caught up. So everything was good from there. I bought it with hard money.
So pause. Ton of resources to get tenants caught up. Plain.
Yeah, we have a spreadsheet that all of our property managers have. There's 75 links on there to different, whether it's churches, whether it's government agencies that have rent relief, like the eviction prevention services, the court system. It's massive, different programs, companies that are doing like, hey, pay us, a 5% markup and we'll cover your rent on the first, and then you just pay us throughout the month versus getting late fees and filing fees. It's a no-brainer for a tenant that can't get caught up. And so we are very active with, hey, we don't want to evict you. We want you to have a home to stay with your kids, whatever. we're going to help you get caught up. So fortunately, we're very proactive with that stuff. We got her caught up really quick. Fast forward to now, she's actually getting evicted. Like it ended up, we got her caught up for a few years and ultimately it didn't work out. But the condition of the property, I'm like, even if she gets evicted, even if I just knew like, okay, I'm going to throw like 10 grand into it probably. And now it's going to rent at like 1750, 1800. Like it is what it is. I bought it with hard money. The first four, all with hard money. And I didn't know enough about hard money. I'm like, oh, I'll just let this ride. But then I started looking at I think it was like 6 months of just kind of riding out hard money. And I'm like, these margins are terrible. Like this isn't enough. I'm still like a 10, 15% return, but I'm like, we need to refi. And so I called CQ actually, and I got a portfolio loan, bundled them all into one deal. Didn't know anything about prepay penalties. The originator did not explain shit to me. I read through all the documents and okay, we're good. But now I've got these four properties wrapped up in this portfolio loan that it has a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 prepay on it. So I'm kind of stuck in it, but they're
Pause.
doing well.
Explain what that is.
Okay, I'll explain what I know. I'm by no means an expert lender or finance guy, I would say, but prepay basically when you originate a loan, you close on it, they're going to penalize you 1%, or I guess 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 would be if I close on this right now, and let's say a month later, I'm like I want to sell it. They're going to charge me 5% of that loan amount. That's the five component. If I wait a year, they're going to charge me 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. They want me to hold this loan for 5 years. Had I fully understood that at the time, I would not have done that. Now, rates were really low. I think I got like a 5% rate on this, which for an investment property, I don't know that it's been lower since. So, but yeah, that's kind of that's what the prepay is. They want to lock you in. They don't want to do deals only for you to sell a month later. They're banking on, you hanging around for a while.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, continue. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, that's good. So the next couple deals were through wholesalers, and then the commercial property was through a wholesaler. And like I said, I've just kind of been hanging out with those properties for now. Overseeing my property manager. Just I've always known what it's like to manage other people's properties, but to have my own and feel the pain of some BS maintenance charge that comes up, and I'm just oh my God, like I feel it now versus seeing it and complaining about it. There's been a lot of learning experiences throughout having these properties, but the beautiful thing is we placed all the tenants, so that's very helpful.
So for someone like starting off, you obviously have the advantage of running a property management company. Would you recommend that they hire a property management company or, just manage their own at first to kind of like get the experience and see what it's like and just know the difference between like a good property manager and a bad property manager?
That's an extremely good question, man. I wish people asked me that more often, to be honest with you. So, property management is no different than any other industry in that you can hire a financial advisor that's amazing or absolutely terrible. You can hire a real estate agent that's amazing or terrible. A title company, property management is no different. I would venture to say 70 to 80% of property management companies run and we've learned from them. We've built our company around what not to do because I've seen so many investors get so frustrated with their management company, whether they're stealing security deposits, whether they're overcharging for maintenance, whether they're not communicating well. There's a lot of bogus that goes into it. And particularly in Maryland, Maryland's one of 5 states that you don't have to have a license to manage property, one of 5. And so every Joe Schmo out here is managing property for other people for $100 a month or whatever, and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know the laws. They don't know fair housing. It's a free for all, and it's really good for us because it's easy to get business that way, but it's scary for our community. It's scary for what's actually the shenanigans with the slumlords that are happening out there. But what I would say is if you want to start out and do it right out of the gate, hire a really good property manager. Learn, ask them a million questions, learn what they're doing. Could you do what we do yourself? Yes, you could. We're not sending anyone, Patrick likes to say, we're not putting anyone on the moon. Like we're customer service. We're answering calls, we're placing tenants, but we're doing it methodically, we're doing it carefully. If you are one that you feel strongly you could do this very well, I do recommend you do it for maybe a year. Feel the pain a little bit, learn what to do, what not to do. see what happens with your time. And you're going to learn very quickly your time, even with one property, if you get one bad egg in there, or even if you get a good tenant, but the property has problems all the time, your time is exhausted. You want to spend time with your spouse, your kids, whatever. Good luck. You're on vacation dealing with a freaking garbage disposal issue, and you're just like, oh my God, why do I not have a property manager? Oh, I don't want to pay the $100 a month. Pay the $100 a month. It's worth your time, trust me. I think a lot of people don't look at what their time is worth. What is your hourly rate? Everybody should know that. What could you be making per hour if you weren't on this phone right now? And sometimes it's not even monetary, it's the investment in my children is worth more than $100 a month to be able to hang out with them and have peace of mind. But again, you just have to be very, very careful. There's a lot of bad PMs around here, a lot of them, and we take business from them all the time. When somebody calls in to our new business guys and they say, yeah, I'm with so and so company, they just smile on the other side of the phone. So like, this is a layup. Like they're having a horrible experience. But yeah, if you can do it, if you're somewhat skilled in real estate in general, you have good connections, contractors, go for it. But you're going to learn very quickly it's extremely time consuming, and you're not going to have the systems in place to deal with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it took me about a year to realize that I did not want to manage
That's
my
a
own
year.
properties. Yeah,
There you go.
and it was only because it was somebody that I knew. I think that like it made it a little bit easier, but it sucks. And to your point, like I value my time, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And instead of hiring a property manager, well, actually on one property I did, and then on another one, I just went ahead and I sold it. I became a tired landlord and just didn't want to deal with it anymore. But
Yeah.
luckily, the tenant was out at that point in time. And so, all right, like help people understand, like how can you like tell the difference, especially like when you're first starting off. Like what questions do you ask, or like how do you figure out who's a good property manager and who isn't?
I think that's a very subjective question. So it depends what's important to you. And this is kind of how our their directors of business development, we call them. Their first question with you is going to be like, what's important to you? Is it cost? Are you looking to save money? Are you looking to have a good experience for your tenants? Are you looking to be able to have more time for yourself? Are you looking for the accounting? Maybe you're really bad with your books and your 1099s and getting your accounting once tax season comes around. Are you ripping your I can't say this for you, but are you ripping your hair out? Like, so
I
it
hate you.
really it depends what it depends what's important to you, man. I feel strongly that we do most things very well. Our accounting is on point, our maintenance is on point, our leasing. Are you having a hard time placing tenants and you're just spending absorbent amounts of time on Zillow and fielding calls and just like you're not good at screening, and you're so compassionate that you are willing to look past like really bad flaws with tenants and they're going to burn the hell out of you. Um, I think a lot of people come to us because they're like, my heart is too soft. If I know they have kids or dogs or whatever, I'm not going to evict them. And then they come to us with $10,000 balances, not able to pay their mortgage. They're just like, this is a nightmare. You have to almost take the emotion out of it. It's like it sucks, but it's like nursing or something. Like people are dying in front of you. Like that's more extreme, but you can't be all emotional about this or you're not going to do a good job. You're going to get dysregulated and mess up. So I would say it depends what you're looking for, really. And we ask those questions. And if we know, hey, Faisal really, 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 really cares most about his accounting, we're going to make sure we hone in on that for you. We can customize things for each client however they want. So if it's, hey, my other PM only gave me 2 reports a month and I'm like Excel spreadsheeting, manipulating, like this sucks. Well, we have 700 different reports. What are you looking to get? Do you want to use your own contractor? Most companies, I would venture to say, will not let you do that. It's a liability to them. If you came to me and said, hey, take my property, but I want to use Joe Smith over here, we're good with that. Like that's no problem. You're going to take the liability. You're going to sign a waiver. We're not, if we get sued, that's on you, et cetera. But being customizable, I think is really, really important there. So again, I just think it boils down to what's important to you. We have a myriad of different reasons. We have a lot of military folks. They're going to be back in 3 years. And they're like, I have no idea what to even do, where to start. I don't want to collect rent through Venmo and deal with that nonsense. I don't know how to maintain a ledger. We have software that handles all of it. And it's automated. So Yeah, hopefully that answers it. But it's just, what are you looking for in a property manager? And we can do that for you.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. You mentioned $100 a month. Like what do property managers like typically charge?
Yeah, so it's different per market, but I would say if you wanted to just have a generalized idea, it's 8 to 10% of the gross monthly collected rent. I say $100 because I've never seen anyone charge less. Besides Renters Warehouse, I think it was 99. They wanted to be cool or whatever. But typically, let's say your unit, it's a 2 unit multifamily, and they rent for $800 each. You're at $1,600. Most companies are going to charge you 100 per unit. Now, 200 out of 1,600, that's a lot. So you're going to be reluctant to do it because you're like, I'm not going to make anything on this property. There's ways to still make money, but that's typically the low point. We personally, I would say maybe 2% of our 6,700 or so doors are on a flat fee. We stopped doing that a long time ago. We do a percentage base. So if your rent's, 2,000, we're charging 8%. It's 160. And we kind of go from there. And there's other fees depending on kind of what you want. We can customize things, but you're typically looking, in the Baltimore market, you're typically looking between $100 and $200 a month.
All right. And so if it's, I don't know, let's say the hood where they're charging $1,300 a month to like Canton or something like that, where you have like $4,000 a month, like it's still going to be like 8%, like no matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing about property management is whether your unit rents for 4,000 or 2,000, we're still doing the same amount of work, you know. And actually, the interesting thing is the properties that are in the tougher areas, we're probably doing slightly more work if there's a voucher. Oh yeah, we're doing more work. So really, the person in Canton or Fed Hill or whatever could probably be like, man, why am I paying so much? Like my tenants pay rent every month, etc. And I get that. I get that. I kind of view property management as like an insurance, right? So your tenant could be paying rent right now and it could be easy to you or whatever, but then out of nowhere it stops and you're like, holy crap, I don't have time to deal with this. Like you never know what you're going to get. What if your tenant is like, I just got enlisted in the military, I have to move out next month. Now you're like, shit, I wish I had a property manager. Like, and now you're scurrying around trying to figure it out, and you're probably gonna hire a bad one, unless you call Bay Management Group. Plug, baby.
Good
No.
luck.
So yeah. Yeah, I just think it depends on your situation, but typically it's 8%. And that we're going to collect the rent, we're going to handle the maintenance and the leasing. And if your tenant doesn't pay rent, we're following up every single week. We're helping them pay their rent through programs. If there's roommate swap outs, those occur all the time, early terminations. If we have to evict them, we've got all the attorneys and resources for that. All of your accounting is going to be buttoned up. You're going to get your financials every single month on your portal. You're going to have access to all your documents. Like that's where a lot of people struggle. They're just keeping their shit in order. Like I don't know where my lease is. I don't even have a lease. And it's like, really? Like you're going to go in your portal, it's going to be there for you. Your security deposit, you're going to see that on file. When your tenant moves out, you're going to get all the info on that. You're going to get quotes. You're going to get a move out form. You're going to get pictures. You're going to be as hands-on as you want to be. And if you're like, I just don't want to deal with anything, don't ever call me. Just send me my report every month. We love that. That's great because we can do our job. But if you're like, I want a weekly touch point, a monthly touch point, that's fine too. We can accommodate all of that.
Nice. Can people hire you just for evictions?
No, we don't do that. We're full service property management. Our company's not really set up to kind of do that one-off stuff. We have in the past taken on eviction only, and we didn't even know a number to charge people. We're like, I don't even, because our system is not based on that. So, and I would love to accommodate it. It's a lot of work. You're basically like, hey man, I'm in an awful situation. $100 a month is not going to cut that. And we charge based on rent collected. So if your tenant's not paying rent, how are we getting paid? So I think at the time, a couple of years ago, when COVID hit, we're like, hey, $2,000. Give us $2,000, we'll deal with it. We found out very quickly that was not enough money. And for obviously they have to pay for their attorney's fees, but to BMG $2,000, our PMs were livid. They're like, really? This is what I'm being handed right now? Now, if we know we're doing more with it, if we know we're leasing it, we're doing the maintenance, like it's not just going to be this eviction, we're willing to deal with that. That's no problem. But we've done maintenance only too. We've had
Do
people with their
people ever
Airbnb.
like hire you just for like once a tenant stops paying, they're like, hey, like let me bring you guys on, and then like
Yep.
once you realize like you're in a bad situation, you're like, let's pull back on this, or like, how does that all work?
Yeah. So I would say, and we were actually just looking at this a few weeks ago. I don't have the exact numbers, but I would venture to say there's a significant percentage of people that come to us because they have a tenant they're struggling with. And it may not be that they're 6 months behind. It might be they're 1 month behind and they're just a pain to deal with. And they know they're always going to pay, but they're tired of the communication and the excuses and all the time that goes into this. I would venture to say 20 to 30%. I'd have to look at the full numbers, but they're coming to us for that reason. Whether the tenant's difficult, whether they're smoking pot in the house all the time, the neighbors are complaining. Oftentimes they actually are paying their rent. It's all the other crap that they're dealing with that they're just like, I can't. Like this is supposed to be an investment, not my time. If I wanted to work more, I'd get another job. So that's a good percentage of it. Another percentage is they simply just don't know what they're doing. They don't have the time. We get a lot of accidental landlords, and by that I mean they're going through divorce, they're going through bankruptcy, their job transfer, military transfer. Someone died and they inherited this. Maybe their mom died and they're like, okay, now I have this property. There's barely any equity in it. I can't refi. I can't, like, if I sell it, I'm going to lose money. I'm just going to rent it out. Can you guys help me out? So we get all those situations.
Nice. Do you guys manage boarding houses, Airbnb, stuff like that?
No, it's interesting. There's lots of opportunity out there, and I'll tell you, shiny object syndrome is real. And I sit in my management meetings all the time, and people always have ideas, and I'm like, guys, I don't want to like pour water on your fire or anything, but we do long-term rentals and property management. Airbnb is a totally different ball game. Selling homes, totally different ball game. Boarding houses, totally different ball game. We don't have the infrastructure for that. Could we build it out? Yes. Do we plan on eventually? Yes. Right now, we're growing like crazy. We're really good at what we do, and we're going to keep pounding away at that until we plateau, until we get close to plateauing, until we feel like we're not growing, and then we'll probably just buy other companies or whatever. But Airbnbs, man, whoo, that's a grind. I know some people that manage them, and that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, at all. And same. All right. And so I know you have 200 employees. About how many of those are VAs?
115, 120, and we have about 215 total. So a little over half are remote, either in the Philippines, Mexico, Ecuador, Jamaica. I think we have someone in Kenya, one in Canada, one in the UK or something.
Two questions. How do you hire them and how do you manage that?
How do we hire them? So we have a recruiting department. We have 3 people in our recruiting department. We post listings, whether it's on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Facebook groups are big. So we have a receptionist per office. We have 4 offices, and they're very good about scouring Facebook groups to find people looking for work, particularly like in Mexico where they're speaking Spanish in there. We don't know Spanish. So we have our receptionist who does, and she's finding employees just by asking questions and whatnot. So there's a ton of different ways to find them. We started out with agencies, but then we built out our own internal department, and we've basically modeled it after what other companies do well and what they don't do well. And we've kind of fixed the things they don't do well, and we're able to screen them extremely well. In terms of management, daily check-ins, weekly check-ins, monthly check-ins, trainings like crazy all the time. We use Hubstaff to monitor like computers and productivity and things. And at the end of the day, honestly, just not being a dick. Like I literally say that all the time to my manager. I'm like, guys, you want to know the simple solution to not having turnover? Don't be a dick. Fortunately, we don't have an HR department. That's me, so I can say these things. No, but seriously, if you're just a genuinely good human being and we train very well, people are going to stay and they're going to like you. And you acknowledge birthdays and deaths and families, and you actually give them time off. They're not used to that in the Philippines. They don't get time off. You come to us, you get 3 weeks, and they're like, what? Like, you care about me and you're going to let me hang out with my family? Well, yeah, you're not a
Awesome.
prisoner. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to let you get time off. So we've kind of gone against the grain with that, but managing them the first 6 months of COVID when we started this was very challenging. We had no idea what we were doing, and we lost a lot of people very quickly. But then we learned what not to do and what to do, and after that, it's been fantastic. My assistants in the Philippines, I feel like we're like good friends. Like I talk to her every single day, and she's fantastic. She tells me everything about the Philippines. Hey, it's a holiday next week. Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? Hey, the weather is going to be bad. Make sure you notify the staff of this. I'm like, Jesus, good thing I have you, man. Like, just building connections. That's how we manage them.
That's awesome. All right. BMG burns to the ground. You lose all your employees, all your tenants, everything. How do you rebuild BMG 2.0 to where you get there a lot faster, and bigger, essentially?
Well, if that happens, I move to Portugal and retire. But if we're actually gonna switch it up and rebuild this thing, which is amazing, I'm gonna go slightly off. It's not off topic, but I don't know if you've read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. The guy suffered through the Holocaust, watched his kids and wife die, and just kind of, I don't want to say hardened himself, but figured out a way to cope with all of this and be better. He kind of talks about, hey, it's actually a good thing when you have to restart. You get to do it better now, which is, sounds kind of eerie and weird that his family just died. And he's like, oh, yeah, we can just do it better now. But it's true. Thomas Edison did the same thing. Thomas Edison's factory burned to the ground. I think it was in the 1890s or 1910 or something like that. But his whole factory, he walked up to it, the thing burned to the ground. He's like, good. Jocko Willing says this all the time. He's like, great. Someone walked up to him and was like, you have got to be a mess. He's like, not at all. I'm going to do it better now. I know how to get there way faster. And it'll be fun. It'll be really fun. Where do I start? We lose all tenants. We lose all owners from scratch. I start with having the money would be helpful. And so if you have the money, throw it at SEO, build your website, start marketing like crazy. People are on Google 24/7, man. That's where we get 99% of our business is Google. And people are blown away that a company our size is so reliant on one avenue of marketing. It's Google 99%, referrals 1%. And so I would just fire away money at Google, get us in the rankings, and then just start building it up, do the new business myself to start out. Once I'm like not able to take the calls, I would hire someone to do sales and pay them 100% commission. Once they're kind of rolling with that and doing really well, great. I'll kind of work with them and I'll be doing the accounting myself, the rent collections. And then at a certain point, I'm probably gonna have 50 to 75 doors. And which should happen in like 6 months of doing this or less. And then I would hire a VA to do the property management, to field the maintenance, rent collections, all the admin shit I was doing. And then once you get to like 150, I would bring in a maintenance tech, a leasing agent. And during that time, I would be using contractors and real estate agents to kind of move the property and do the repairs. But then I'd start bringing all of it in-house and just kind of build from there. Property management really is 4 critical roles: a property manager, a maintenance technician, a leasing agent. That's the 3 main ones. And then you have your accounting people. Everything else, marketing, recruiting, compliance, that all kind of comes with growth. You don't need that stuff early on.
Nice. That's awesome.
But you have all the hats on at first, and then you just hand those hats away as you get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's like entrepreneurship 101. Okay.
Yep.
All right. What is your next iteration as an investor? Do you plan on like rebuilding your portfolio or rebuilding, like building it bigger, better? Like, what do you look like as an investor in like 5, 10 years?
Man, single family for me probably isn't going to cut it. At a certain point, I'm going to go from 6 single families to probably like a 50 or 100 unit apartment building or something, or buy and flip businesses or whatever. I'm going to go big is what I'm going to do. I say small, there's a lot of people listening that probably never done a deal. Respect, man. You're here listening to, and hopefully you do a deal soon. But I'm just gonna swing for the fences. I'm a big time risk taker because I came from nothing. I have nothing to lose. I feel like that all the time. Does that mean I'm gonna be a bad person or no? But does it mean I'm gonna take crazy risks that you might be like, this fucking guy's nuts? Yes, 100%. I do it all the time. Am I gonna make horrible mistakes? Absolutely. So I'd probably get into either bigger commercial buildings, not office space, big multifamily buildings, or just syndicating money and kind of flipping businesses or something like that. I truthfully I don't have like a game plan right now, which for me is pretty unusual. I'm kind of at a crossroads at the moment. I've got a 2-year-old, man. My life is like chaos right now. So
Beautiful thing, man. It really is. I think when my kids were 2, well, my first son when he was 2 was like my favorite time. So Yeah, just enjoy
Yeah.
as much as you can.
Yeah, getting
Um,
kneed in the balls and the eye poked out every 2 seconds and scratching and biting and that stuff's not fun. But how do I combat that? Love and affection, man. And he'll get out of it.
I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning getting headbutted by accident in my sleep
Hmm.
by him. So yeah, I
Yep.
understand.
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
pretty sure I broke my nose and should go get it looked at. But yep.
I can tell. Uh, what advice would you give to like a newbie just starting off wanting to get into real estate investing?
Well, first I would say, what type of investing do you want to get into?
They
Real
have
estate.
no idea.
Oh, if you don't have idea, get an idea. And if you can't get an idea, put all the different types of investing in a hat and shake that shit up, and then pick one out. Because are you going to do flips? Are you going to do rentals? Are you going to do commercial? What are you exactly doing? Are you doing it for the money? Are you doing it to save time? Like, know your why. Are you in it for the long haul, or do you want to get in and get out? Like once you figure that stuff out, it's individualized. If I was consulting on this, I would literally pick your brain just like you're doing mine. I'd ask you a trillion questions about you personally, professionally. What are your goals? I would get a profile put together and I'd say, Faisal, you sound like you should be doing flips, or something, and then kind of go that route of doing the flips, connect with every single person you know, or just know Faisal and he'll do that for you. And then, dude, just learn, be a sponge, man, soak it up. Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't listen to every YouTube video you've heard because a lot of it's complete trash and people, making money off clicks. But there's a lot of truth to what they say. Can you make money without your own money? Hell yes. That is very true. Is it easy? No. You need connections. You need to know people with money. Someone needs to give you that money. Um, you know, Being friends with rich people helps. I grew up poor and I was not around people with money ever. So being able to buy property with no money and no credit was not happening. Because I'd call and maybe be lucky to get 500 bucks. But if you know people that have money, get a mentor, man. Find someone that's doing it. The interesting thing is when people are really good at what they do, they want to. It's not even like an ego thing. You want to like, hey, I absorbed this for 10 years and it's been sitting inside of me and I've like done things with it, but I want to show the world now. And it's not always about money. They've already made money. They probably money's fun for them at this point. It's not a necessity for them. It's like play money and Monopoly. So find yourself a mentor would be the best thing. And the cliche thing that I've heard a lot that I fucking wish I did when I was like 16, figure out what you want to do and then work for free. This sounds crazy, man. I came from working 2 internships in college for free, and people are like, "Fuck that! I value my time." Well, yeah, what are you doing right now? That person that didn't have to pay you, do you understand how much you helped them flourish and how much they're going to give you down the road because of that? They didn't have the means to give you all of this now, but you helped them get from A to D or E or F. They're going to pay you back. And you're going to sense that right away if they're that type of person or not. If I say, Faisal, I want to get into cold calling or wholesaling or whatever, I guarantee you're going to take me to lunch and teach me. And then what's going to happen with that? You're going to get deals from me. And we've built that connection and it'll happen for a lifetime. So it's kind of a lot to throw at you, but that's would be my approach.
No, yeah, huge. So many gold nuggets there. Do you do any mentoring or consulting yourself?
Yeah, I've been mentoring basically my whole life for free. So I'm what do they call it? An empath. I've recently learned in therapy. So I'm the type of person that likes to help other people, even when they don't even need help. I like perceive people as needing help all the time. It's kind of a con of mine. But anyway, I liked con in the sense that it's like a pro versus con, I'm not trying to rip people off. But yeah, man. Go back. What was your question again? I got the con
Do
thing
you,
through
do
me.
you mentor or like consult or anything?
Yeah. So mentoring, I've basically mentored my family forever because I'm the only one that's like gone to college and done something in terms of like building this thing up. And they all call me all the time, like, "Hey, how did you get your property?" I'm like, I've told you 150 times. You think I'm bullshitting you? Just do it. Like, what do you need? Money? I'll loan it to you. Let's get it done. Send me the deals. I'll analyze them for you. So yeah, I kind of am a natural mentor for people. A lot of people in my company call on me all the time for advice, which I love. It makes me feel good to help. Um, Consulting, like for money, and I've done a few things. I don't know, maybe like 5 or 10 or something. But these are for folks that I know will abuse typically. I haven't actually gone like full blown create a business, do the consulting just due to time constraints. But if I sense someone's going to abuse it and not actually there's really nothing in it for me at all, not even like an appreciation of it, they're going to get charged. And if you really think about it, I've been charging like $100 an hour, 150. That is nothing. Like, think about this. If you can call somebody and, hey, man, I need an hour of your time. I'll pay you $500 for it, which is not unrealistic for a lot of professions. And you just took away a million golden nuggets. Holy crap. I would do that on repeat over and over and over. Because if you spent 500 and you didn't make 5 grand out of that, you fucked up. You need to learn how to turn that 10x that thing real quick.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so kind of along the same lines, what do you plan on teaching your kid about like real estate investing or like business in general? Do you want them, or do you want him to like go into the business, or like, what's that look like for you?
Yeah, the interesting thing is I don't want my kid to do anything besides be a good person and figure out his passions and support him at the end of the day. I'm not going to push things on him. I see that a lot with parenting, and it's not that the parent is like bad or like misled or anything. It's just I think that backfires on people a lot. Like when you build a business and your intention is for your kid to take that business over, I think you're going to have a lot of pain and heartache down the road when you realize they don't actually want that business. That was your business. And they probably heard all your frustrations over the years and your struggles. And they're probably just like, that I'm not even passionate about that. Yeah, money sounds good. I want Max specifically to do something that he loves to do. It could be opera, man. I don't know anything about opera. If he decides he wants to do opera, I'm going to become an expert in it though, because it's all about support. And I'm going to make him pay half of everything once he's 18. That's really important. Like you gotta have skin in the game. I think it's a mistake to fully give a full ride to your kids. That's just my personal opinion. And so for me, it's, figure out what he wants to do. Am I going to teach him along the way, like how to make money in general? Yes. And how do you do that? There's a lot of different ways. How am I doing it? I've got like 12 revenue streams. Even some of them are teeny, like credit card reward points. But I'm going to teach him all the streams. He can pick out what he wants to do, but I'm going to show him the power of money and kind of how you can use it to make more money and be good. And then if you can free up your time, then you can do whatever the hell it is you want to do. But being stressed about money is not something I would prefer he's has to deal with like I did, working 40 hours and going to school 16 credit hours for 4 years, dude. No, sir. Do I want him to have it tough? Yes, but not misery. That's different. I want challenges, not suffering.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that that misery and the suffering has gotten you to where you are. But I do
It
understand you not
has.
wanting that for your kid. All right, my favorite question to ask everyone, what's been your craziest real estate story or experience?
We can go two paths with this. And
Let's
we
do
can
both.
go, okay, we'll do both. I'll give you, so finding dead people in property and rental property is not uncommon, or animals for that matter. It's awful. And it's one of the parts of the business that I don't wish upon my worst enemy. I don't have any enemies, but it's not on, I would say every other month, somebody at our company steps into a property and finds somebody dead. We had an example 7 years ago or something where it was Halloween night. Our leasing agent was touring a property with a client. It was a mom, a dad, and I think he was like 10 or 12. He was like definitely not a teenager yet. And it's Halloween night. The tenant, said they could enter without approval, or they put it on their little thing there, like, go ahead, enter, it's fine. They get there and there's like they walk in the front door and the kid looks up the stairs and he's like, there's like a prop up there, like somebody, like something's hanging at the top of the stairs there. And they just thought it was like a prop. They're like, oh, it's Halloween, whatever. He had other decorations in the house. They're touring the house. And next, it's all right, let's go upstairs. And they're going up there. The kid runs up first, only to discover it's the freaking tenant. So the tenant was dead, had been hanging there for a few days, and the poor 10 or 12-year-old found the guy there. And immediately, of course, the leasing agent's like, "Oh, we need to get out of the house. Like, you guys, go home. You're not going to take this place. I'm not going to let you take this place. Like, your kid's just got some serious trauma. And so go deal with that, do what you got to do. But I'm not renting this place to you. Like, there's just no way." Which somebody on commission to do that is pretty powerful. He needed a paycheck, but he's like, no way, we're out of here, man. That was pretty awful. There's been other stories where we've discovered dead bodies like oozing through floorboards and stuff. It's, man, thank God I've never encountered these things, but I know all the stories from counseling my staff members, basically. Um, But then in terms of one that's not so dark and scary, I bought a commercial property last year, 2 unit, fully occupied. 2 weeks before closing, one tenant skips out. And the seller told me, and they're like, okay, let's work something out. We'll put money in escrow and that'll cover rent. And I wish I'd consulted someone that would have said, don't freaking do that. But I just was like, whatever, I'll learn. I'm this learning the hard way type guy. And so no big deal. We closed on the property. 2 weeks later, it's like middle of October. The tenant hasn't paid rent, the one that's existing. And so we sent someone out. They skipped. And so now I bought a 2 unit commercial property. This is out in Dundalk. I bought it fully occupied. And I'm like, perfect. This is like a 12% cash on cash. Like, great, man. These numbers are awesome. Like, I'm happy with it. To zero. Like, I'm literally losing. I think my mortgage is like 2,100 with taxes and insurance or something like that. So I'm literally losing this every single month, and it took me 6 months to get tenants in there. Thankfully, one guy took both sides, but holy shit, man, that was awful. And what lesson did I learn? I didn't do enough due diligence. I didn't ask for bank statements. I didn't ask for tenant estoppel agreements. I didn't do all the things I know I should have done because I trusted this seller so much. And I'll say in real estate, trust but verify everything. If you tell me it's raining outside and I'm like buying a deal from you, I'm looking outside. If you tell me your tenant's paying rent, I want to see proof of that. People, you encounter people in real estate every single day that are not in their best, shiniest moments. Doesn't mean they're doing this all the time, incessantly. Not necessarily. There are people for sure. But could that person be having a tough time financially, about to lose their house, and they just need to screw somebody over quick to kind of get ahead? Absolutely. There's a lot of short-sighted people in this industry, and I was victim to one of those. So that was kind of an awful story. So basically what that did, my 6 single family homes, all of the profit I've made for 2 years was washed away basically in like 6, 7 months of dealing with this commercial property. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Like I was doing so well to zero. I think I'm maybe up a couple grand or something. Now I've got the equity, I've got the other benefits, but the cash, my whole checking account, like all the money that was coming and gone. Because then I had to like turn over the units. I had to get them cleaned again. It was like, holy shit, I was not planning on an extra 10 grand of doing all of this stuff. And then the leasing fee and then everything that I'm like, this is ridiculous. Totally my fault. Totally happy it occurred because it'll never happen again. And it was on a 2 unit, not 100 unit. So that's helpful. But yeah, those are some, I can go on for days. That's my stories.
Yeah, no. So I had a similar experience with I ended up, I think at the most I had 5 units, and then I bought. So out of the five, two of them were halfway houses, and a month after I bought them, they stopped paying, and so I had the same experience. And I actually verified that they were paying and everything, and then I called. It was a program. I called them and asked them, "Do you guys plan on renewing your lease?" And they said, "Yeah." So I was like, "All right, cool." So I thought for sure it was going to be a cash cow, and a month after I bought it, they stopped paying. So. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of situations like that in real estate, and it's why I don't want to buy any rentals for the foreseeable future unless it's, I have like the system set up. Because what I didn't understand at the time was building a portfolio and buying rentals is a separate business. And if you're not set up for that or you don't have the time for it, it's just not going to be worth your time.
That's
So,
exactly right. That's smart. That's really smart, man.
all right. Do you have any other advice or like, words of wisdom for people in this business?
Stop analyzing and just do it. You're listening to this podcast for a reason. If maybe you're a veteran, you've been doing deals and you're hoping for some more nuggets, but I can guarantee you there's a lot of you listening that are either scared to do a deal, don't know how to do a deal, whatever the case may be, just do it, man. Chances are you're probably younger. I'd imagine you're probably in your 20s, 30s, 40s if you're just now kind of getting into this. You've got a long time to mess up and recover. And I would say if you can make one grand slam, that'll make up for 10 awful mistakes that you made. So don't be afraid to make the mistakes in life. Real estate is entrepreneurship. You're doing this, you're putting a lot of time and effort and energy and money and whatnot into this. Do you think I think what is it? Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made or something? Like, just take the damn shot. Now if somebody told me that when I'm playing basketball, that would be helpful. But just take the damn shot. You miss 100 times, man. It's fine. You're going to survive this. And then of course reach out to people like Faisal and myself if you need help. Like even if we don't know the answer, we're going to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I try to tell people is like, if I don't know the answer, I'll at least learn along the way while trying to figure it out, or I'll connect you with the right person. So,
Bingo.
again,
Chances are we know someone. And connect, man. Freaking connect. Stop procrastinating about going to that real estate event. How do you think I met Faisal? I didn't go to one for like 10 years. And my wife, my family, they're, dude, you're like the most outgoing person I ever met. Get your ass to a real estate event. I'm like, nah, they're just gonna try to sell me shit. It's not my cup of tea. No, I was afraid. That's what it was. I got my ass there and I met you on like literally my second ever event. And here we are, like good buddies. Like, it's like, man, just get yourself out there. Don't be afraid to do anything. Unless, don't run in front of a car, but just get to an event. Get to an event hosted by Faisal or one of these other guys in Baltimore, and you're going to do well.
yeah, absolutely. All right. On that note, how do people find you, connect with you? Able to reach out to them?
LinkedIn and Facebook,
Okay.
Tony Cook 7.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Appreciate your time, man. This was awesome. And again, I'm Faisal Morsi, Pinpoint Skip. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Appreciate your
Appreciate.
time, man. This is
Yeah, thanks a
awesome.
lot, Faisal.
Yep. Thank you.
See you. Yep.
Yeah.